Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're doing well and that you are all having a great day. Before we get started, this is a continuation or the beginning, if you will, from the last video where I was talking about, and I kind of went on a little bit of a rant, but it's pretty much to let people know exactly what's happening in the cryptocurrency space. I think a lot of people start to panic when prices go down. I think people don't see the larger picture. I think a lot of times we as humans, depending on wherever we are in the world, we still live in our little bubbles, even though we have the internet around us. We don't really understand sometimes the implications of exactly what's happening around the world or exactly what's happening more so in the cryptocurrency space. I think a lot of people, regardless of prices going up or especially when they go down, people get disheartened and they don't really understand what I mean when I say that, or rather my own personal opinion when I say that Bitcoin is undervalued, that Bitcoin's value is going to go a lot higher. And this kind of comes down to the fact that when we hear about institutional investors, we don't really understand what institutional investors mean. It's not just Fidelity or New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ who are getting into the game. Like, these are the entities who are going to be like a house for where all of this stuff is going to be taking place. You have to understand that the wider cryptocurrency world is massive, and there's a huge amount of money that's trying to enter into the market. And without further ado, here we go. Let's jump right into it. The owner of a decentralized art gallery says she's getting deeper into the crypto game by helping the super rich acquire Bitcoin. Elisa Dadiani launched MainNet, last year, which uses the Ethereum blockchain to sell fine art for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Andy Warhol's 14 small electric chairs was the first piece on sale on the platform. 100 people brought fractional shares for a 49% ownership stake in the painting. Now Dadiani is rolling out a new initiative called Dadiani Syndicate, a peer-to-peer digital trading platform for absurdly rich buyers. This was reported by Forbes. And according to Dadiani, one of her clients is looking to buy a jaw-dropping amount of Bitcoin. They want 25% of the circulating supply. One person. She said, one of our clients approached us and said that they were interested in acquiring 25% of all Bitcoin currently available. There are a number of entities who want to dominate the market. One person. This is when I talk about losing sight of exactly what's going on. I know a lot of people, and not necessarily the people who are listening. I have a couple of friends, not the friend who normally listens. Hello out there if you are listening. I know he's probably listening. A couple of people who buy cryptocurrencies and they buy very small amounts and they go, well, and I ask them just as a bit of a something, do you plan on buying more in the future? They go, no, I think I have enough. I'm kind of still skeptical in the cryptocurrency space. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. And I hesitate sometimes because I don't want to force my crypto beliefs down their throat. I don't want them to feel like I'm forcing them. Like the fact that they own any cryptocurrency is great. It's cool. It's wonderful. I want everyone out there to really get it and to really understand, and I won't stop. And I'm not going to stop until we hit $1 million Bitcoin and everyone out there really gets it. Regardless if you like Bitcoin or not, that is not going to stop the price of Bitcoin from going higher. That is not going to stop very rich people from buying up Bitcoin. When you talk about, once again, what we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks, as the prices have been going up, we've received an enormous amount of news from the cryptocurrency world at large that just certain institutions, we have the one who owns 7% of all Bitcoin, 1% of all Bitcoin. Winklevoss own a huge amount. I have had multiple videos across the span of space and time that have discussed exactly how much Bitcoin is out there and is probably not out there at all. When you talk about, I love news like this because it gets you into this really interesting mindset to really understand exactly where this is going. When you want to talk about a world, and I've said this before, where there's going to be the haves and have-nothings, it's becoming abundantly clear to me that it's going to happen because of cryptocurrencies. I made this channel and continue to do this channel, and I will continue to do this channel for the benefit of others because I want people. I cannot explicitly tell you to go and buy cryptocurrency, but dear goodness in heaven, understand where all of this is going. This is a woman who deals in expensive art that's being sold for cryptocurrencies. She said She has one client who wants 25% of all the Bitcoin that's out there in the world right now. And I mentioned before in another video, when these rich people buy, do you think that they're going to stop at the amount of cryptocurrency that they have at that one time? The institution that owns Grayscale, that owns 1% of all the Bitcoin, do you think they're content with just owning 1% of all the Bitcoin? What was the news we had yesterday? We had the news, what was it? That Fidelity is it Fidelity? Yeah, that Fidelity mines cryptocurrencies on their premises, whatever where that might be, and the other company who they acquire 1/5, 20% of all the Bitcoin that's mined per month. One company. It's as clear as a spring summer morning where the sun is shining. Like, this is absolutely insane. She said, when I founded the institution, it was a way for people to cash out of their cryptocurrency assets, but we found that there were people who wanted us to assist them in buying enormous amounts of Bitcoin. Bitcoin circulating supply is 17.7 million, roughly. A 25% chunk would be around 4.4 million Bitcoins, worth around 38.5 billion US dollars at the time of publishing. Dadiani says she's working to buy as much Bitcoin as she can for her clients by making over-the-counter purchases. She hopes to avoid pushing up the market price of Bitcoin. People buying large quantities of Bitcoin want to avoid slippage. The only way to do this is to avoid exchanges. Someone mentioned before, and I've had multiple people, they said, I don't get it. I'm not understanding. I hate it. Why are rich people buying over-the-counter? When you buy over-the-counter, and especially if the price is floating at a certain amount, you can buy up logically as much as you want without it actually hitting the cryptocurrency exchanges. If somebody put in a buy order, we saw before, about 2 months ago, one person put in a buy order across 3 different cryptocurrency exchanges for $100 million. So it was 33 across 3 crypto exchanges, and bought up $33 million, $100 million worth of Bitcoin at one time, and the price skyrocketed. Can you imagine what would happen if someone did that with $1 billion? Can you imagine where Bitcoin's price would be if someone bought 38 billion with a B dollars of Bitcoin at one time on a cryptocurrency exchange? We saw in 2017, there were a lot of instances around the world. For those of you who weren't here, there was something called the kimchi premium, where people in South Korea were buying so much. You can Google this. Kimchi, K-I-M-C-H-I, second word, premium. In 2017, people in just South Korea alone were buying up so much Bitcoin from their local cryptocurrency exchanges that there was a premium on the price of Bitcoin. Bitcoin was trading around $7,000. These people were near paying $10,000 to $11,000 just for a Bitcoin because of the hype and craziness that we actually had in the market. We have official news that there is a person on this planet of around 7.5 billion people who wants to own 25% of all the Bitcoin circulating. Regardless, eToro senior market analyst Matty Greenspan says Bitcoin buying on that scale would have an obvious impact on the price. He said, a buyer of this size is going to push up the price to make this kind of accumulation even more expensive. There are ways to offset that kind of demand price increase, but after a certain level, there's not much you can do to prevent it. Yet even a greater number of coins are currently being held by hodlers who will not be willing to part with them for any price. I know a couple of people, probably myself included. I don't think I'm ever going to sell Bitcoin. I don't think, rather, I will, when we get to a world where Bitcoin is worth over $1 million and things around the world are denominated in BTC and Satoshis, that's probably going to be when I'm going to be using it on an everyday basis. There's probably not any point in the near future, ever, where I'm going to be selling my Bitcoin. Realistically speaking, he said, there are probably less than 5 million coins actually circulating at this moment. For those who have no idea what that means, especially since it says 17 million, where is it? Somewhere around here. 17.7 million Bitcoin have been created by miners and the Bitcoin network. That is true. We've had news over at least the last year and a half. There are tons of people who are doing the calculations for this. It is widely believed that anywhere from 4 to 6 million Bitcoin are lost forever. These were on old computers. People who mined an enormous amount threw their computers away, lost their private keys, have no access to their passwords. Those Bitcoin are gone. You cannot get them because of how the network works. We had news many other times before to reiterate the other companies who are holding massive amounts of Bitcoin. 7%, 1%, another 1%, 2-something%. It wears down the amount of Bitcoin very fast. The last week, we had also news as well that the amount of wallets who have at least 10% of a Bitcoin have exploded over the last 2 months, give or take, somewhere around that time frame, because more people are trying to accumulate as much Bitcoin, even just fractionally, as they possibly can. I pose this question to you, dear public. What do you think is happening with Bitcoin? What do you think is happening with cryptocurrencies? Why do you think this craze is suddenly affecting many people around the world? When I talk about the other analysts who are talking about that by the end of this year, potentially, no one knows the future, people talking about that by the end of this year, we could hit a $30,000 to a $100,000 Bitcoin price, who talk about that by next year, as we get closer to Bitcoin's reward being cut in half, as the less mining is happening, that Bitcoin could be anywhere from $100,000 to $333,000. When people talk about over the next 5 to 10 years that we could have $1 million to a $10 million Bitcoin price, then it kind of makes a bit more sense why these people would want to accumulate as much of it. And even just based off of a basic supply and demand alone, do you know what's going to, and first of all, I imagine that behind these scenes, these people have been accumulating for a while. And I want to say 2018 was probably one of their happiest moments in the entire world, where people were just selling because they're like, oh, Bitcoin's not going to go anywhere. The amount of people I saw who thought that Bitcoin wasn't going to go anywhere, or that Bitcoin was not going to go back up, tremendous amount. People have, and I feel for them, and I understand why they sold, but it was a mistake. The point after all of this is one person. Do you know how many other 100 millionaires, billionaires that we actually have out there who are probably even like, I don't even need 25%. Just give me 4% of all the Bitcoin that's out there. How quickly this is going to add up when you have this many people. I think the market is beginning to start to factor in all of this stuff into the price of Bitcoin. When you talk about why Bitcoin has been, first of all, I think Bitcoin is probably the most undervalued cryptocurrency that we have in the market right now. I think a lot of people have been trying desperately to push the price down. It happened yesterday, and it happened a week and a half ago. Whenever Bitcoin's price starts going up, a lot of people, I think the mega rich people, get very scared and they try to push the price down as much as possible. But the price is very resilient, and that it drops down, and 30 minutes later, it's already going back up because people are like, who was the idiot who sold their Bitcoin? I think the market is slowly starting to factor this in. I think a lot of people don't pay attention to exactly what's going on. So I'm here to make sure that you get as much information as you need to really understand exactly where this is all going. When you have mega institutions getting into the cryptocurrency space, that the mouse just moving right now was from me smacking the table. You have to understand, when we have news that the people from Fidelity, who own, trillions of dollars worth of assets, that they are buying cryptocurrency. They announced that they were buying cryptocurrency last year. Them in the New York Stock Exchange, they said they loved 2018 because the prices were going down. Do you think that the people from the New York Stock Exchange were buying 10 Bitcoin? Or do you think they were trying to probably buy around 50,000 to 100,000 Bitcoin, if not 1 million Bitcoin, over the course of multiple investors who were also behind the scenes, who were also throwing money at them to be able to buy up Bitcoin themselves as well? I need you to all get it really, really fast. I'm terrified of Bitcoin's price going over 10,000 and the market going completely insane, and people who are watching my other videos FOMOing into the market, throwing as much money as possible when they could have gotten Bitcoin at a lower price. Not financial advice. This is not me telling you to buy Bitcoin, as I cannot legally explicitly tell you to buy Bitcoin. But please understand that something is happening behind the scenes. When I saw this, when I read this, I said, that is the craziest thing I have heard in my entire life. Normally, very rich people don't tend to share what they do with their money. And even more of a I want to, this is the last thing. We get a lot of news about happenings in the cryptocurrency space in America, usually within the States, in New York, sometimes California. There may be blockchain and crypto laws in Idaho or Montana. They're usually bogged down by the happenings of the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission within the United States, also the CFTC. This happened in London. There was a billionaire in London who told a woman, I want you to help me acquire 25% of all Bitcoin that's currently circulating ever. I'm actually at a loss of words. Like, I don't know how to continue my sentence anymore. Like, this happened on the other side of the world. When I talk about that America, because of the SEC, is being pushed far behind, you know how many other billionaires there are in the world? You know how many other millionaires there are in the world? And even when you get into the discussion that there are not enough single one whole Bitcoin out there in the world for every millionaire in the world, I've seen people in my comment section, please don't tell people how much Bitcoin you have. Talk about that they have 2.1 Bitcoin. They've been accumulating for 3 years. They have 3.3, so and so and so. These are, I'm assuming, forgive me if I'm incorrect, everyday normal people, everyday average Joes who have multiple Bitcoin themselves. When we, oh my goodness, when we get into a future where Bitcoin's price starts going up and people realize that they cannot accumulate one whole Bitcoin themselves, they're going to lose their minds. When people realize that there are single people on this planet who have millions of Bitcoin, even hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin. The Winklevoss twins own at least 200,000 Bitcoin. That's 199,999 people on this planet who will never have a full Bitcoin because of what they're doing. Understand where this is all going. I apologize for my rant, but I had to bring the point home because so many people don't get it. You hear stuff, when people see the prices of cryptocurrencies going down, they're like, oh man, should I be selling? And this is exactly why I get so annoyed when I see those people on Twitter or those other YouTube channels who are like, man, yeah, Bitcoin's price is definitely going down to $1,000. I'm like, if you are dumb enough to think that, please leave the cryptocurrency space. If you believe in your heart that Bitcoin is going down to $800, you might want to find a new profession. There's a human on this planet who's trying to acquire, by the time they get closer to acquiring their complete goal, the over-the-counter markets will be dry. The only places to be able to get these cryptocurrencies will be on cryptocurrency exchanges. And what happens when people start throwing millions of dollars into the cryptocurrency space? The price goes up. What happens when Bitcoin's price goes up? More people start buying Bitcoin. What happens when more people start buying Bitcoin? The Bitcoin price goes up. Don't be distracted by prices going down, because whether you know it or not, and you should definitely know it from everything that I just told you, Bitcoin is not going anywhere. And at some point in our lifetimes, I can't tell you if it's going to be next year. I can't even tell you if it's going to be 10 years. We are going to have a $100,000 Bitcoin and people are going to lose it. They're going to flip and they're going to start buying as much as they possibly can. And it's going to drive the price up. And eventually we will have a $250,000 Bitcoin on this planet. And it's going to get real. I wanted everyone to know that. I'm going to move on now before I get myself more flustered. But please understand what's happening. For those of you, I'll try to remember to put this article in the description below. You know I'm horrible with doing that. Google it, type in Forbes, and the name of the article is How the Super Rich Are Buying Up Bitcoin. One person, 25%. You know how many greedy people are on this planet? You know how many other people probably also are trying to also acquire 25%, 7% of all the Bitcoin out there? Let's move on. Next up, back to normal. Major United States-based cryptocurrency exchange and wallet service known as Coinbase has added support for EOS, according to a press release on the 30th of May. The new edition is reportedly available for trading and storing in most areas covered by Coinbase, with the exception of the UK and New York, like always. The announcement also notes that there are no transaction fees associated with EOS. The cost is instead paid in computing resources such as a tax on RAM, CPUs, or network bandwidth. Users that run the network also earn EOS by contributing to the computational power needed to run transactions. The point that this is the probably very interesting. I've had a feeling for quite a bit of time that the people from Coinbase were probably in cahoots. We're working with the people from EOS. It's kind of confirmed. For those who don't know, I'm pretty sure it's tomorrow. Today is Friday. Tomorrow there is an event happening by Block One, the creators of EOS. It's called B1 June. You can Google around for it. You can find out about it. The people from EOS are expected to give very significant information as to the future developments for their token. The last 3 weeks, we've seen the people from Block One. I think they bought back, I think, a huge portion of their own stock, and I think they also bought 3.3 million EOS worth of RAM on the network. Stuff is getting interesting. There's a lot of stuff expected to be announced, and I assume that the launch or addition of EOS onto Coinbase was to work in coincide. Said that wrong. Was to coincide. There we go. With the B1 event. There's been. You think Tron is a hype coin? EOS has been hyping up B1 for a very long time. I hope that we get some amazing news. We'll see tomorrow. Anyway, EOS has been added to Coinbase. One can only assume to coincide with the B1 event. Next up, the Chinese-based blockchain platform known as Neo has announced plans to upgrade its mainnet on June 3rd at 9 a.m. According to an official blog post they listed on the 29th of May. According to the announcement, one of the main consequences of this upgrade is the addition of an oversized fee measured in the cryptocurrency's gas on the Neo blockchain for high priority transactions over 1,000 bytes. The oversized fee for these transactions is determined by the formula numbers. As per the announcement, the network fees exist to guard against attacks on the network or malicious transactions and should not impact friendly users. The post also advises exchanges and other individuals or groups using Neo to upgrade their clients to version 2.10.2. The version all mainnet consensus nodes will be on after the update in order to avoid any transaction losses due to the new network fee protocol. As previously reported by Cointelegraph, Neo 3.0 launched at the end of April on a new Genesis block in order to improve the blockchain's performance and stability. Neo co-founder Eric Tsang commented on his hopes for large-scale entertainment applications to be implemented on the latest blockchain iteration. He said, and I do quote, "When we talk about Neo 3.0 being ready for large-scale commercial use, we mean it provides the possibility to run large-scale applications with blockchain technology. In the future, we'd like to see applications such as YouTube, Alipay, and gaming giants such as Tencent and Blizzard run on blockchain, and Neo 3.0 will allow these organizations to do that. Good luck to them." We normally don't hear about Neo that often, except for when they have upgrades. I know they have a GitHub. I know they have a so-and-so. I know you hear about the so-and-so. I mean, on normal everyday crypto news, the people from Neo and their blockchain system aren't usually in the news as often as we hear about Bitcoin, Ether, XRP, even Litecoin. There seems to be a huge push, and I wonder exactly how this is going to take place or how this is going to form or take shape, because we have a situation right now where a lot of cryptocurrency giants are announcing that they want to have gaming platforms and gaming so-and-so and all their things to be able to run on their platforms. We'll see. I think between Tron, EOS, Cardano, and Neo, at the moment, these seem to be the four largest names out there who are trying to get all this stuff built on their platforms. Let's see if they can do it. Let's see if their platforms end up melting or just can't handle all of the usage. Anyway, that's the Neo news. Here's the actual blog post that they listed. To kind of finish things up, I thought this one was kind of cool. Crypto wallet and exchange app Abra have launched its hybrid investment channel, allowing individuals to make purchases of listed stocks, exchange-traded funds, and commodities, all with Bitcoin. The new feature allows, of course, non-US investors in over 150 countries to purchase high-demand financial products in amounts as little as $5 without any fees. According to the announcement, they said fractional amounts of valuable stock for global markets such as Tesla, Uber, Alibaba, and Facebook as well as exchange-traded funds like the gold SPDR and indexes like the S&P 500 are now available to investors in over 150 countries. Abra says its mission is to democratize access to finance. Investors in countries that have been excluded from participating in the S&P 500 can now transcend borders and make investments on the go using crypto and their smartphones. This is very interesting. What's happening without reading anymore, it's not, that insanely interesting, is that we're entering a world where there are a lot of people who are trying to, they say, democratize finance. And I remember for a good 2 years before I got into crypto, I was very much into stock, bonds, mutual funds, and all that other stuff. And it was a little difficult to kind of break into the space. It was there was a lot of stuff to learn. It was difficult to swap stuff back and forth. There was a lot of, you had to, like, if you wanted to sell a stock on a Friday and the stock exchange had closed, you had to wait until they opened up on Monday. It's very counterproductive to being able to send stuff back and forth. And this is why the cryptocurrency space, in just even if nothing else, is very interesting, because we live in a 24/7. First of all, time does not stop. We live in a world that's 24/7, and finance should also be 24/7 as the earth rotates and we have different time zones. And when I'm asleep, you're probably awake. And that's how the world works. So we should be able to do what we want, when we want, however we want, because the world works in a 24-hour, we have a clock, 24 hours in a day. Anyway, the point is, there seems to be a huge move towards this, and I'm very happy that it's happening. This is one of the reasons why I love cryptocurrencies, is because you can send it wherever you want, whenever you want. Fees may be low and or high, but you still get that instantaneous gratification of being able to send money and stuff back and forth. And I think it's also a very interesting way to be able to enter the financial world, because a lot of people, even people within the US or even in Europe, they didn't care to get into stocks or bonds or mutual funds or ETFs because it takes a long time. You have to learn a lot. You have to do so and so and so. It takes days to be able to actually, enter to the marketplace. But if you can just buy Bitcoin quickly, send it to somewhere, whatever, you get an actual like Tesla stock or an Apple stock or whatever so-and-so stock within a matter of seconds or minutes. This is exactly how finance should be. There should be no real waiting time, and this is why the world is changing and why cryptocurrencies are going to take over. I'm completely out of breath. I thought I was bad in other videos. I'm exhausted. As always, a very enormous special thank you to my Patreon supporters: Mechanic, Anthony Charles, Nick Mangelavori, Arthur Yaku, Minting Coins, Jim Gardner, Jeremy the Photographer, Sam Siri Vaseline, I keep hoping I said that correctly, Paxis, Vlad the Impaler, Cody, RF Dusty, there we go, yes, I said that right, RF Dusty, Richie Rich III, Nick Kanaya, Setsuna, Nicholas, One Earth, One Peace, One Love, Crypto Artist, Cold D3D, Nick Claritin, Claritin, is that a drug? Clarity Snowden, Crypnotic, Jeffrey Ramsey, Amy Starsheen, Yasha Harari, Rai, singer-songwriter Mike Savitz, Carl Birchenoff, Mohair Maroney, Crypto Joe, Shaolin Fried Rice, Gil, Boa Snake, Wise Night Owl, Jared Schneider, Ella Doug, Brady Niels, Crypto Beer Shipmate, SC Verzely Fine Art, and Professor Wally from Gunbite University. I'm embracing all of you. My arms are open wide. You can't see me hugging you, but I'm digitally hugging every single one of you. Thank you all again for watching and listening. It's definitely lunchtime. I barely had breakfast. Did I have a salad? I had a salad. It wasn't even a big salad. I'm really hungry. Not that any of you needed to know that, but I just like sharing parts of my life with you. Thank you all once again for watching and listening. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you, really get it. Really understand. If you ever have a chance, go to like there are like Bitcoin meetups and Bitcoin meetings and other things like that. Like try and meet people who are in the cryptocurrency space. You'll meet some very interesting characters, very nice people, and also you'll meet people who have a huge amount of Bitcoin. I've met a couple at some parties, but keep it in mind, man. There's so much happening behind the scenes that people don't realize, and this is when I talk, whatever. You realize that this woman was talking about that she has a client who wants to buy 25% of all the Bitcoin. He doesn't want Bitcoin Diamond. He doesn't want SV. He doesn't want Bitcoin Gold. He wants Bitcoin. I have seen an uptick in the amount of people who've been screaming at me in the comment section, telling me that I'm wrong about SV. All right. Tell me exactly how that fares out for you in the next 3 years. Thank you all once again for watching and listening. 25%, one person. And I'll talk to you all soon. See you.